Coming from the lead gameplay designer behind Limbo and Inside, Cocoon is one of those games that's best experienced knowing as little as possible. In short, it presents amazing spatial concepts that just might break your brain. If you're willing to take the plunge on a concise, puzzling adventure through bizarre, moody worlds, go all in. But be sure to catch back up with us after you're done. For those that are still here, Cocoon is experienced entirely through the language of visual and audio design. Outside of pause menus and credits, there's no text, no button prompts, no voiceover, no icons, maps, etc. Everything you do in Cocoon is done through observing the world around you and following its cues. You simply hatch into a desert spring with no broader context and start figuring out where to go. In fact, it's hard to even find the words for everything you interact with. There are some basic switches and platforms, but many of the devices feel truly alien, blending both mechanical and organic elements. What do you call a metal ball attached to a cord of flesh that you pull to raise a bridge? No idea. And it can be truly surprising when you move what seems like an ordinary pillar over to a pressure plate, only for it to start walking back to where it came from. It's that sense of visual language that's so masterfully executed. You may not have the words for everything you're seeing or doing, but step by step, you learn one lesson after another. Understanding the meaning of strange symbols and learning the uses and limitations of small flying drones feels completely natural. The real hook, though, is that Cocoon is a game about worlds within worlds. After a few minutes of exploration, you find a lighted platform that ejects you out from the desert world that you start in and into a more industrial, mechanical environment. What's more is that the entire desert world you were just exploring can then be picked up as an orb that's used to activate a variety of devices. You can stow it on a pedestal while you wander about the current world, drop it down a chute to pick it up on the other side, and find other access points, jumping in and out between worlds to progress. Boss fights make use of this mechanic too. Rather than having a life bar and taking damage, getting hit by a boss completely knocks you out of that world, forcing you to dive back in, and resetting to an earlier part of the battle. Once you defeat a boss, it unleashes a unique new ability, so now your little orange ball doesn't simply activate switches, but reveals orange bridges of light that you can cross to access new areas. As the game progresses, you find more worlds with more abilities, from a watery estuary to dark fungal caverns. However, since you can carry any of these worlds on your back, things get really crazy when you have to swap from one world to the next, or even carry one world into another. And there are so many later interactions that can really make your head spin if you start to think about it on a conceptual level. Despite all this jumping between worlds, Cocoon's progression is still fairly straightforward. While you aren't literally moving from left to right like in Limbo or Inside, the next thing you need to do is usually the only thing you can do, aside from a few hidden paths along the way. At times, you get dropped off in spaces with no way to turn back, but while this may seem limiting, it does help a lot with focus and pacing. When you come across a puzzle you might not understand, it can be easy to assume you need to go somewhere else and come back later. But since you can't go back, it's clear that the answer must be right in front of you. So while it would certainly be nice if there were more ways to play with mechanics outside the box and have more room for alternate solutions, Cocoon's focus avoids fruitless backtracking, keeping you in the mood, experiencing one epiphany after another. And oh boy, is it a mood! The sights and sounds of these worlds are really top-notch, with no performance issues or distracting glitches. The environments are equally beautiful and bizarre, with radiant lighting and reflections, and much of the time, interacting with the new device yields something surprising and indescribable. The audio design is just as strong, providing a thick and alien atmosphere augmented by brief bits of melody that rise to the surface to let you know when you're on the right track. Wearing headphones is highly recommended to get fully absorbed in every detail. In all, Cocoon lasts about 4 to 5 hours, and it twists your brain up in knots the further you go. Despite its heady concepts, puzzle solutions never feel too frustrating or obscure, and interacting with different objects feels tangible and tactile. It's mesmerizing from beginning to end, tightly crafted, and wonderfully creative. If anything, the succinct length just means that there's no excuse to let this one pass you by. Final score, 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching our review. We're Easy Allies. We've been writing about games for decades, and we also do podcasts, streams, shows, and more, all funded by regular viewers just like you. Head to patreon.com/easyallies to pitch in and get rewards. And be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay connected on YouTube. See you soon.